have an immigration problem. And I'm not talking about this, guys.
A viral video of a boat packed with migrants near the Carlsbad shore is raising a lot of concern for some local leaders.
Because I don't think that's right. So I'm gonna make a whole video about those guys. In this video, we're gonna talk about this guys.
Passport bros. Men who understand that Western women have drunk the Kool-Aid past the point of no return and got their passports to enjoy happiness and peace with fit, friendly foreign women.
Too much of anything is really bad. Well, right now we're getting too much of these guys. And the problem with these guys is they come to our countries to exploit our women, to look at our sisters, our cousins, our daughters, just like sex objects. They also take advantage of the tax breaks that we give them for them to come back and call us third world countries and look at us as second-class citizens. You couldn't get any woman in your country. Western women are bad. Go down south, get yourself a submissive woman because you couldn't get that in your own town, right? Well, don't believe anything you hear on the internet. That's what I want to talk about in this video because the internet lies just about everything. Many passport bros think it is smart to travel to Colombia to sleep with women from vulnerable areas. However, they do not realize that they are one step away from being drugged, robbed, and murdered. If you are Latino, you have probably noticed the increasing arrival of foreign tourists to Latin America. Most tourists want to enjoy our culture and landscapes. However, some of them are making the biggest mistake of their lives because of social media. These people think that women from Latin America will want to sleep with them because they are foreigners, but they have absolutely no idea what they are getting into. Dangers of being a passport bro. Let's just say that being a passport bro is extremely dangerous. You can't just sneak into the slums of Colombia to pick up women if you can't even speak Spanish. These women will see you as a ticket out of their terrible situation. In the worst case scenario, they could be associated with a cartel dedicated to extorting money from naive foreigners. Latin America's economic situation is precarious compared to other first world countries. The last few years have led to many people ending up impoverished or resorting to violence to survive. Unfortunately, many men are so desperate to get laid that they are willing to risk their lives to travel to countries they don't even understand. You've heard of Pablo Escobar, the leader and founder of the Medellin cartel. This man tortured and murdered his rivals to protect his empire. Today, Pablo Escobar is dead, but there are thousands of criminals taking his place. These criminals know that foreigners come with a lot of money, so they often set traps for them. And what better target than a man capable of sneaking into a dangerous neighborhood in the middle of the night to get laid? This should be reason enough not to be a passport bro. Unfortunately, many of you will avoid my warnings until you experience it firsthand.
I just wanted to talk a little bit today about everything that I've been seeing going on in Colombia right now. And it feels like every single week there is a new tourist or foreigner that has died in Medellin. I've been counting. It's been like 8 weeks, 9 weeks in a row now where somebody has died.
So here are some tips to avoid getting killed as soon as you get off the plane. How do you avoid getting killed or kidnapped? If you notice that a woman shows too much interest in meeting you right away, you are probably talking to a man. Men and women function in completely different ways. Think about how much you had to talk to a woman from your city before you dated her. Latin American women behave exactly the same as North American women. Few are interested in having casual sex with a guy they don't even know. Unfortunately, some passport bros seem to lack common sense. They believe all the crap they see on TikTok and that they will be revered outside their countries. But I have bad news for you. If you can't seduce women who speak your native language, you don't stand a chance of hooking up with someone with whom you don't share a language. I'm not saying that there won't be Latin American women who aren't interested in North Americans. In fact, I know many who love them. But if your only reason for visiting Latin America is to have sex, I can guarantee that you will end up in big trouble. Women can smell desperation and know how to take advantage of it. If you are lucky, they will use you to take them out to dinner or buy them expensive clothes. But if not, be prepared for hell. Most locals know which areas to avoid, unlike tourists who tend to be overconfident. However, few are as trusting as a man traveling solely for casual encounters. I have read dozens of cases of men who ended up being extorted outside their country.
38-year-old Eric Garvin, a lawyer from Staten Island, was in Chile when his passion for travel and photography came to a sudden and violent end. He was shot to death on the streets of Santiago.
This is not a problem unique to Latin America. If a Colombian tried to sneak into the Bronx for a quickie, he could still end up kidnapped and murdered. Imagine for a second that you were on vacation in Venezuela and a woman you considered a 9 invited you to her house in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the country. Would you accept her offer? I think many of you would. This is why so many passport bros end up murdered or drugged and robbed. They ignore that criminals also use dating apps to set up ambushes. This is how Asian American comedian Turger Xiong ended up kidnapped and stabbed. Xiong had traveled to Colombia to spend the holidays with his family. He chatted with a woman through social media and arranged to meet her a few days later. On December 10th, 2023, Xiong went to the place and was kidnapped and stabbed by a group of people who demanded a ransom of $2,000.
The State Department says this is a troubling trend in Colombia.
Unfortunately, he was not the only man who lost his life in Colombia after meeting a woman on a dating app. He shared the same tragic fate as other American tourists who were too overconfident. Yet all these YouTubes claiming to be passport bros would rather sell you an illusion than tell you the harsh reality. Why do some women only care about your wallet? Let's talk now about the risks of sleeping with a prostitute. Prostitution exists everywhere in the world. However, women from the most vulnerable countries seek foreigners from North America and Europe. These women are experts at recognizing if you have Western money in your pockets. Most prostitutes are just looking to survive and will try to get as much money out of you as they can in one night. But some of them are much more dangerous than you think. When you are naked in a stranger's bed, you are in an incredibly vulnerable situation. Now imagine being naked in another city, in another country, without knowing a word of Spanish. How high do you think your chances of getting home safe and sound are? The prostitute you decided to hire could communicate with a group of kidnappers while you are in the bathroom. Even if she decided to call her accomplices along with you, you would not be able to understand a single word she said. Can you see why this viral movement is so dangerous? Being a passport bro also puts you at risk of encountering manipulators.
Now look, Tinder has this feature where you can set up the passport location. You can put the location in Mexico, Romania, Brazil, Colombia. You might come across girls that are interested in you, but you might also come across women that want to take advantage of you.
An alert from the U.S. Embassy warns tourists about using dating apps in that country. The embassy says 8 Americans have died under suspicious circumstances in Medellin, Colombia, from November through December.
As a Latino, I can spot a gringo from a mile away. If I see that you have blonde hair and light blue eyes, I'll definitely think you're not from around here. Combine that with your bio being written in English next to a Canadian flag, and you've just made yourself the perfect target. All the handlers need now is to find 3 men like you so they don't have to work all year. These women will use you under the promise of easy sex, but they have not the slightest interest in sleeping with you. At best, they will use you as their credit card. At worst, they might put something in your drink to rob you.
If there's one situation you don't want to find yourself in, it's waking up naked in one of the streets of South America. When your phone is gone, your passport, your wallet's gone, and you're hangover, you're like, what the fuck just happened?
Both American and women around the world are speaking out against the passport bros, arguing these guys are using their status to take advantage of women and even calling it a form of sex tourism and sex trafficking.
Even if you are lucky enough not to end up drugged or kidnapped, you could get beat up for trying to seduce a woman with a boyfriend. Some girls pretend to be single to get fancy accessories or clothes from foreigners, but if they are caught by their partners, they will try to put all the blame on you to avoid taking any responsibility. How do you plan to explain the situation if you can't communicate in your assailant's language? You might get lucky, and the guy who is about to beat you up may know 2 or 3 words of English. Even so, he might be too angry and frustrated to care about what you have to say to him. You can rarely get away with being a passport bro, but the worst doesn't end there. Why are they hated by the locals? The passport bros are becoming increasingly annoying to the locals every day. Latin Americans are tired of seeing foreigners coming to their countries to get drunk and bother their daughters. Think about this. If you had a daughter, would you want some guys from abroad coming over to sleep with her? I'm not saying all passport bros are jerks, but they've built a bad reputation. Just calling yourself a passport bro makes most respectable women lose interest in you. When a group of young men who only think about having sex arrive in a country, they always end up getting into trouble, which causes the locals to have a bad image of the next male tourists who come to visit. This is why the massive arrival of passport bros has caused many women to feel repulsed by foreigners. They do not want to feel harassed in the street, nor do they want you to see them as a piece of meat. Instead, they are looking for a man who respects them. So if you intend to sleep with them, you must invest time and effort, and for that, you might as well stay in your country. So what do you think about the passport bros movement? Do you think it is worth risking your life to have casual sex? I'll read you in the comments. I hope you liked the video. I'll see you next time.